Welcome, everyone. I'm Dick Deming. I'm Medical Director of Mercy One Cancer Center and the founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. Welcome to our weekly cancer education series. It's brought to you in part by a grant from the Iowa Oncology Society. And our guest this evening is Brenda Helget. Brenda is the Executive Director of A Time to Heal, and we're going to learn all about that. But first, let's get to know you. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deming. It's such a pleasure to be here again.
And Brenda is joining us from Omaha, and that's where A Time to Heal is headquartered. So, Brenda, where did you grow up?
Just down the road a little ways in Lincoln, Nebraska. That is our capital. And also it houses a Memorial Stadium, which you may have heard of if any of you folks like football.
Oh, that's right. They used to have a football team there,
We did
right?
used to have a football team.
I remember back when I was in college, they
stabbing me in the heart. And fun fact, folks, that stadium becomes on football Saturdays the third largest city in Nebraska.
So, well, I have to ask, were you tempted to choose red as the color for A Time to Heal?
Well, of course, but purple is the color of survivors. And of course, what month is it, Dr. Deming?
It is a National Cancer Survivor Month. And in fact,
Exactly.
on Sunday, which is June 7th, is National Cancer Survivor Day. And we're having a bike ride over the High Trestle Trail on Sunday, June 7th.
That's amazing. I hope you have good weather for it.
Yes, yes. So you grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska,
Yes.
and went to high school there.
Yes.
Which high school did you go to?
Lincoln Northeast. So I'm a rocket.
And how many were in your class? Your graduating class?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. Okay. I really don't remember. That was a long time ago.
What was your personal claim to fame in high school?
In high school? Probably just a crazy horse girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to ride horses, and I showed horses for many years. So
Western or English?
Both.
Both. Okay. Mm-hmm. So did you do like jumping and cross country and?
No, and that's more of a kind of an English thing. So here in the Midwest, it's a little bit of everything. But I showed breed specific. So the paint/pinto horses, ones with big patches of color. Yeah. Are what I showed, and we did everything from the halter class, which is like if you watch Westminster Kennel Club, how they evaluate the dog's conformation and etc. Did that, and showmanship and English and Western pleasure, and I did a little of the barrel racing, like rodeos. And,
all right.
Yeah.
And what was your favorite horse's name?
Fancy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Her registered name was Exclamation.
Okay.
Fancy. Yeah. She was a 3-time world champion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And where did you win the world championship at?
In Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Pinto World Show. Yeah, that was really fun. Big deal.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then after high school, where did you go?
Well, I went to, I don't have actually a full college degree. I have credits in a few different places, including UNO. And also some community colleges. And it's one of those things, Dr. Deming, always meant to go back and finish my degree and never got around to it.
Kind of life gets in the way sometimes.
It did. Motherhood and marriage and all those things. So I did not finish, much to my regret, but who knows? Maybe I'll go finish when I retire, because why not?
So our current governor got her college degree while she was governor.
I love that. That's great. And in this day and age, it's so much easier. You can kind of do it at your own pace in a lot of ways. And it got a little nerve-wracking back when I used to be a fundraiser for UNMC's College of Medicine and had to go meet with many esteemed physicians like yourself and be able to go sit toe-to-toe with them and talk about all the new latest, greatest things going on at their alma mater, but I managed it. I have a long history in
and so
fundraising.
You had a career in fundraising for various organizations, including academic. And then how did you get interested in A Time to Heal? that you became executive director.
Yes. Well, I actually first learned about him when I was fundraising for Methodist Hospital here in Omaha. I know there's Methodist hospitals all over. And I was there for about 8 years. And I remember hearing about Dr. Stephanie Korleski and Dr. Kay Ryan, both PhDs at Methodist, that they had started this brand new program called the Time to Heal. And so we helped do the initial fundraising for that program way back when, 21 years ago. And so that's how I first learned about A Time to Heal. However, it wasn't until many years later I became a cancer survivor myself. I was diagnosed in 2016, and I was approached 5 years ago about A Time to Heal. And as I was sitting having lunch with a friend who was telling me about how they were looking for an executive director, of course she had me in mind. I'm so dumb. All you have to do is say, hey, you want to go to lunch, Brenda? I need your advice. And so I fell for it. All was trick in the book. And then she says, this organization is so great, and they're just on the cusp of something really big, but they need the right leadership. And I remember thinking, this is the exact thought that came in my mind. Oh, this is why I got cancer. I understand now. It
Wow.
all makes sense. All of these things I've done in my life have led me to this moment. And that's how I feel about it. So I hope this is my last job. I'm 63 years old now. So I hope it's my final job. According to the board, they don't want to let me go, but so that's what they say. So that's great. I hope it will be. But it's really been an amazing journey, because I'll be honest, Dr. Deming, I never wanted to be an executive director. I didn't want to take on that heavy responsibility. I've seen it. I know the commitment it takes. And I just thought, no, I'm happy being, for a little further down the ladder. But can I just tell you, this job has been so amazing, so fulfilling. I feel even more blessed than the people I get to serve. You know what I mean? Like it's just so fulfilling. You know this, to help folks that desperately want our help and need our help, and to watch them flourish and grow and change is there's just nothing better.
Yeah. I love the way that you recognize it. We ended up at a place we kind of look back and think of all the forks in the road that we had that eventually led, and how, your profession as a fundraiser for not-for-profit organizations, and then your own personal journey of cancer, and how those two, journeys kind of came together with your current position.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable maybe just telling us a little bit about your own personal cancer journey?
Sure. So I'm always kind of happy to share the fact that I am a triple negative breast cancer survivor, because I know how I felt when I got that diagnosis. It was frightening. It is, as Dr. Armitage says to me, a little bit trickier than estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. So what I will tell all of you now, I'm so happy to say this fall will be 10 years.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And I like telling that to others, because I know when people would tell me they were a long-term survivor, I just thought, oh God, okay, good. There's hope. So I was diagnosed in the fall of 2016. I was very, very naughty and bad. I was about 6 months late for my mammogram. Lesson learned. And so I had a lump that they had kind of marked the year before. It seemed like it was fine, but it definitely got bigger. But also I have very fibrocystic breasts. So, ladies, if you have that, you get these fluid-filled cysts that fill up and then go back down. So that's kind of a normal thing. So I didn't pay as much attention to it as I should have. But then one day I realized this one was different, because it wasn't squishy. It didn't hurt. And And so that alarmed me. So I actually was meeting with someone at the college, at UNMC College of Medicine, a chair of the radiology department. And I said, hey, can I ask you something personal? And he said, sure. And I said, I'm worried because I need to get my mammogram, but where I usually go doesn't have a 3D mammography unit. Like, that was fairly new then. And they did. And before I even could finish what I was saying, he picked up the phone and called and said, you're going tomorrow. And thank God for that.
Yeah.
So I got diagnosed, everything all in the same day, biopsied in the same day. They did not mess around. I can also share, and you're going to have to help me with this, Dr. Deming. What is when you get the lab results, what is K something that?
KI67.
Thank you. That measures the aggressiveness. I was over 80.
Okay.
So it was about.
Yeah. So triple negative with KI67 being 80%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So an aggressive. Mm-hmm. And was it stage 1 or 2? Or?
Well, this was also new and different at the time. They decided they wanted to do chemo first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there was no, it's not like they did surgery and could stage it that way. So they had just kind of guess, if you will. So it was stage 2B is what they said at that moment. I should also mention it was also in my lymph node adjacent.
Yes. Yeah. So that would be stage 2. So they could tell from the imaging before they started the chemotherapy that there was the primary tumor in your breast, but it had already spread to your lymph nodes.
Correct. I mean, he could see it right on the ultrasound. Mm-hmm. He just flipped the screen around and said, here we go. So it would all happen very quickly after that. This was within 3 weeks, I was starting my chemo regimen, and I was on adriamycin right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sensitive to all medication. Like, I can take a Benadryl and just be out, it doesn't take much for me. So the adriamycin made me really sick. I lost 30 pounds in 1 month. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. It was brutal. I'll be honest about that. And I couldn't get off the couch, and it was just not good. Had to go in and every time I had chemo, I would go in for 2 or 3 days in a row and get intravenous fluids to keep me going. And then, slowly get better, and I could eat for a few days, and then we'd start all over again. Mm-hmm. But once we got done with the adriamycin, then it got a lot easier, in my opinion. And then I was on, was it maybe Taxotere or something like that? Yeah. So I got, some neuropathy in my feet. That one foot, it's still there. I'm sitting here like, it's no big deal. Hey, I could eat. I always look for the silver lining. I always tell people, well, the bad news was I lost 30 pounds in a month, but the good news was I lost 30 pounds in a month. And there's always a silver lining if you really look hard enough. And I always was trying to find that silver lining. And I remember telling Dr. Ken Cowan, my oncologist, who's now passed, I said, I think it must be really working well because I'm so sick. And he said, I wish that was always the case, but not necessarily. But here's what I'm going to tell you. After we got done with the adriamycin, they take some scans.
It was gone. Yeah.
Everything's gone.
And then did you have a lumpectomy?
Yes.
And at the time, and the lumpectomy, was there any live cancer cells left at the time of lumpectomy? No. Mm-hmm. So wonderful.
And so I didn't have to have a mastectomy at all. And can I just say something really quick? Because I know a lot of ladies, if you've been through this, like a lot of you, I wanted these things gone because that's how you feel. You just want the cancer out of your body no matter what. You want it away from you, and you don't ever want it to come back. But they told me, they said it's not gonna increase or decrease your chances of recurrence with this type of cancer. And I had more than one doctor tell me that. And then they said, what you're going to have to go through with a double mastectomy, it's really tough. And ladies, I know so many of you who have done it. You're warriors. You're amazing to me. I did decide ultimately, okay, I'm going to listen to them and see. And I'm glad I didn't have to. now, but gosh, it's interesting how we all react to that.
Yep.
You're kind of ready to do anything at that point.
And then, Brenda, after the surgery, did you have radiation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 6 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
5 days a week.
Then obviously, because you were estrogen receptor negative and progesterone receptor negative, you didn't have to take anti-estrogen pills for 5 or 10 years.
No, and I remember I shouldn't throw. I met a doctor one day, and he asked me what type of cancer I had, etc. And I told him, and he went. This was his reaction. I said triple negative. He went. You always want a doctor to react that way.
Yeah.
And he says, how long has it been? I said, oh, it's been just over 5 years. He says, oh, good. And I said, why? And he said, well, because with triple negative, it really goes down. It usually, if recurrence is going to happen, it's going to happen sooner and not later. And they think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but they think it's because part of the reason because you don't have to take, the pills or whatever, or extra chemo for 5 years. Because sometimes if you do that and then stop taking it, it maybe could come back.
Yeah. I would just say in the world of oncology and all types of cancers, the more aggressive a cancer is, the faster it goes away. But if it were to recur, it comes back more quickly. So real slow growing, indolent cancers may take longer to go away, and they may remain dormant for a long time, but a really slow growing, indolent breast cancer that's estrogen receptor positive could recur 20 years later even. But again, it doesn't necessarily recur in aggressive fashion. So cancers of all types, whether it's lung or breast or other organs, the aggressive ones tend to go away quickly, and you either cure it and it doesn't come back, or it comes back within a few years, as opposed to a slow growing cancer that could recur 10 or 20 years later. So fortunately, yeah, I'm glad that, thank you for sharing your story. And thank you especially for sharing the story that is triple negative, because like the physician you talked to who gave you that facial look, most people just think triple negative, but there are millions of women who have stage 1 and 2 and even stage 3 triple negative who are cured. But everyone remembers the type that spreads, and the women who have a type that is aggressive, that if it's not cured, it does result in death much sooner than an estrogen receptor positive. But you're testament to the fact that early stage triple negative is very, very, very curable. So.
Exactly. I was very blessed again to have Dr. Ken Cowan as my oncologist, and of course the Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center. I just listened to everything they told me to do and trusted them. They were the experts, and I am a testament to their care.
So you had mentioned that A Time to Heal is over 20 years old. So it was in existence when you went through your cancer treatment.
That's correct.
Did you take advantage of any of the programs as you were going through your own cancer treatment?
I tried. Here's the funny part. I immediately signed up for A Time to Heal because I knew about it and I knew it would be helpful. And I really, really, as I told you, Dr. Deming, I really struggled with the chemo. I was very, very, very sick. I remember just those first few months, I could barely make it from my bed to the couch, So, and at the time they didn't have virtual classes. So I would have had to drive. And by the time I felt well enough to even start going back to work, what happened then was I started radiation. So about 3:30 every day, I was done in terms of just so incredibly fatigued, et cetera. And then I think what is interesting, Dr. Deming, which I will talk about here in a minute more, but something that happens is then maybe you get back into life and you get back into the rhythm of work, and and I also had brain fog really badly, so I was struggling with that. and trying to deal with that. And I think you kind of just get into that mode of, I'm not sure I can do one more thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I was. What I can tell you about A Time to Heal in either one of our programs is it's never too late to take the program. You can get benefits out of it a year later, 10 years later, 20 years later. We just had somebody sign up today that took our original program. Um, she went through it about 19 years ago, and she wants to go through it again.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she feels like she has some unresolved issues with her cancer and everything that she went through. And I experienced that same thing actually with you at the Iowa Cancer Consortium conference. And we're at Dr. Deming, they asked if you wanted to ask panelists a question. I was on a survivor panel, and Dr. Deming asked me, I believe, tell me how your cancer journey has affected you or affected your life. And it absolutely hit me upside the head. I became so emotional so quickly, I couldn't speak. I had to hand the mic to somebody else. And I realized at that moment, I thought, wow, this is almost like a PTSD kind of situation. This is where psychosocial support can really, really help. Because again, 10 years later, here we are. And it's kind of like when companies coming and you shove everything in the closet, right? And then you forget you have everything in the closet and you go to open the door and everything comes tumbling out. That's how it can be for a lot of us, cancer survivors. And again, it could be a month later or 10 months later or 10 years later that you finally open that door and everything comes out. And you need to maybe talk to somebody about it, or be able to talk to others who've been through something similar, which is, I think, one of the biggest benefits of our programming. I can see right now, Marion, you're saying, wow, 10 years you are a warrior. Thank you, Marion. And that makes my heart sing. But you folks I know that are watching right now, you get it. You understand. I bet you're sitting here, they're nodding your head going, yeah, we've had those things happen to us too. So it's just something that you have to work at, and our programs, and I know Dr. Deming's programs help folks so much work through those feelings, those emotions, because it's not just the cancer; it's regular life's going on around you too. I lost my mom. My dad had to go into a nursing home. I had to sell their house, which they were typical Depression era people, never threw anything away. And I had 30 days to get the house clean. This all happened in a 6-month period in the middle of my treatment. And I was so weak. I couldn't hardly do anything. Thank God for my family. They came with me. They'd bring me stuff and go, do we get rid of this? What do we do with this? I mean, that's how bad it was. And so you have all these other things going on too. And it's in your job and your children and your grandchildren, it's everything. And it's a lot. So I do wish I had been able to go through it as it was happening. But what I can tell you is, the good news is you can get a lot out of these programs at any time.
So Brenda, tell us about, for those who don't know about A Time to Heal, tell us what A Time to Heal is and what is the program that you're talking about.
Thank you, of course. So A Time to Heal Cancer Foundation, as we have been talking about, was founded over 20 years ago by two women. One, an oncology psychologist, and the other was a cardiac rehab nurse, and they worked together and were dear friends. And the nurse actually got breast cancer. And because she worked in rehab, when her treatment was done, she asked her dear friend who worked in oncology, when does my rehab start? And she said, well, there is no rehab for cancer patients. Well, there should be. And so they sat down, like women do when there's a job to be done, and they got it done. And they wrote a book that has over 350 pages that became a curriculum, because they realized as they were writing it and envisioning it, that's kind of what came to light. They were envisioning people sitting in a small room together, a small group, supporting each other, helping each other, with a professional, with a nurse and a psychologist, kind of leading them through everything that was happening to their body and everything that was happening to them physically, mentally, spiritually, right? All of those things, a holistic program that addressed all of those things. So originally it was a 12-week program, once a week for 12 weeks for about 2 hours, including, fellowship, because everyone would come to class and they'd have a little snack and get and talk and chat, and they'd all sit down, and Steph and Kay, our founders, would lead them through that week's topics, which were, gosh, the first week is a great topic. They let you talk about what you've been through, and they remind you it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Dr. Deming will back me up on this. There's so many things we do not know and what causes cancer. So let that go for the moment, right? And let's start thinking about what is it that you want your life to be going forward, and how do you want that life to look? And for me, I want to be the healthiest person I can be. And I think most of us want that. So we talk about nutrition. We talk about the benefits of exercise, of which there is a plethora, right? We talk about anxiety and depression and struggle sleeping, and tricks and tips of how you can combat that. All of these things, side effects that you need to maybe think about and watch out for, that could stay with you, lifelong, right? Like lymphedema. You're at risk for that for probably the rest of your life. So there's so many things to get through. Brain fog. We touch on that a little bit in this program. This program is called Survivorship 101. So during COVID, we shifted gears like everyone else had to, and had to adjust this 12-week program to a virtual format. So we shortened it up to 9 weeks, 90 minutes, but still the same curriculum, still the same small groups, no more than 15 at a time. We usually probably average more like around 10 at a class, which is a great size. And it is just an amazing program. And what the really funny thing that happened was, when we started offering it virtually, I think everybody in the world was on the internet just trying to kill time and look at things. People from all over the world found us that didn't have this kind of support in their area. So the next thing we knew, we were not just Omaha, Nebraska. We were, in our little community, we were serving folks all over the world. So we do offer this program to any adult cancer survivor, any type of cancer, no matter where you were treated. And more importantly, back in 2008, our founders decided it was very, very important to see, is this program really helping people? And is it lasting? Does it make a lasting difference, not just an immediate difference? So they undertook a study that was IRB approved, and they did it over a 10-year period. 10 years, almost 1,000 participants. And I am talking about Dr. Deming. You remember filling out the paperwork, filling in the little, we still have all the files. It's incredible. And what it showed was that the program made a huge difference in quality of life and happiness with themselves. So we tested them before they took the program, immediately after the program, and 6 months later. And that was the biggest discovery, that 6 months later, they were still feeling that way.
The benefits were still there. Yeah. Has the program, I'm sure it has changed, but I'm wondering, back when it first started with the cardiology nurse who was actually a cancer survivor, and the psychologist, did it start off as just women and just breast cancer? And has it evolved to more, clearly now it is men and women of any type of cancer, but when it first got started, did it get started with breast cancer women?
Yes, it did. And that is not surprising when you consider that
Right.
70% of all cancers are breast cancer. So I think that's kind of why they started that. And then a lot of people started knocking at their door saying, well, wait a minute,
What
we
about me?
what about me and what about my kind of cancer and all of
Hmm.
that. And then we did, remember how with TV shows they call them spinoffs? You know, they start with the core show and then they make another
Hmm.
show. That's kind of what we've done with survivorship. Is as time has gone on, we have tried to evolve the program to fit the needs of survivors. And so, about 5 years ago, Dr. Jim Armitage came to me. He's on our board of trustees. He's a world-renowned blood cancer expert, also pioneer in bone marrow transplant. And he came to me and said, Brenda, more and more young people are getting cancer. You need to do something about this. You need to make sure they're being taken care of. So I went back to the founders and they said, well, we've got a lot of information that's really tailored more towards young people, but we kind of put it in the back of the book as an extra in case whoever was facilitating the program, if they had more younger people, they could kind of bring it up to the top. Perfect. So we added some more current research, and that's what we've done. So we have an under 45 survivorship, again, men, women, etc. So we're really excited about that one, and it's been very well received. And we'll just keep working on it. We're probably not as good as you, Dr. Deming, but we're doing our best.
And I know that you have an annual conference, and that just took place maybe a month ago. Besides your annual conference, is all of your other programming virtual?
Yes. So we also have a special class that not very many, a special program that not very many, I don't think, I'm not sure if anybody else is doing it right now. Maybe a couple people it's called brain fog, navigating brain
Mhm.
fog. So everyone's familiar. Do you want to say something about that, Dr. Deming? Or
No, no, I was just but
yeah,
you have an in-person version of that in
as
addition
well.
to virtual.
Yes,
And
and the
is
same
that
thing
your
for
only
survivorship.
mhm. And is
Mhm.
that your only in-person group now, is the brain fog?
No, we can do survivorship in person as
Oh, you
well.
still do that in
Oh yeah.
person as well
Mhm.
as virtual.
And
Okay.
I should mention, even more importantly, remember we're talking about the evaluations and what they showed. Years ago, Stephen Kay realized that this kind of program should not just be kept for themselves. They would go to different conferences and things, and so they started training other nurses and physical therapists, social workers, very good psychologists to deliver the program to their communities. So they would
Mhm.
undergo a training and do that. We still do that. And so there's a lot of clinics all over the United States, including a whole bunch in Iowa,
Mhm.
that are now doing the program in person and in their clinics, delivering it to their communities, which is so important for
Right,
especially the rural communities. So that's for both survivorship and our navigating brain fog. So you can do it in person, you can do it virtual,
right.
and yeah, and we train facilitators for either one. We also have monthly webinars called Create Your Best Life, much like we're kind of doing here, except we usually have a presenter like Dr. Deming come on
Mhm.
and speak and then do questions at the end. And we try to do those every single month. And that's strictly virtual.
Right. Give us a feel for how you have grown. So when you started, I imagine it started with one group of people, and over the years, like in the last year in 2025, how many individual people did you serve? And I'm really interested when with the pandemic, when you went sort of worldwide
Yeah.
and virtual, anybody anywhere could join. Well, give us a sense for the geographic diversity of the people you served in 2025.
So let me tell you, when in 2019, end of 2019, remember we're not counting
Mhm.
partners and who they serve. We're just talking about how many people did we serve in 2019 face to face, right? It was 67 people. Last year we served just under 1,000 in
Yeah.
48 states and 7 countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Say that again, 48 states and 7 countries?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
wow. Yeah.
Including now it's escaping me. Also a country in Africa. They
Mhm.
had to tune in at like midnight their time. It was
Yeah.
so amazing, but they really wanted to be part of it. Oh no,
But
that
is
was
you
for Slovakia. There was somebody from Slovakia
okay.
too, but
So you
also
mentioned silver linings. So one of the silver linings of COVID was, in healthcare in general, we kept talking about telehealth, but nobody did it, and the regulations and the billing and everything. And finally, it's like, okay, we're just going to do telehealth, and Medicare and Medicaid said, yeah, we're going to pay for telehealth, and all the other insurance companies did it. Whereas there has been just talk about it for a decade, and finally did it, and that has persisted. So yeah, you went from 67 people you serve. Now that's important, but when you talk about a whole not-for-profit serving 67 people over the year, compared to 1,000, I mean, that's been astronomical. And I would imagine, the telehealth expense is much less than trying to bring 1,000 people together in a room over the course of a year.
exactly. And also when you think about the mental health aspect, so these are some numbers we just crunched very recently. If in our area in the Midwest, the average cost for a psychology session is $150 an hour. So in our survivorship class, we are giving each participant 13.5 hours of support. That translates into a value of $2,025 per participant. What
Hmm.
it costs us to give that program to that participant is under $500 participant.
Hmm.
So for our donors, they look at that as a great investment. The fact that, oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention the most important thing, Dr. Deming, is all of our programs are free.
Yes.
Everything's
Yeah.
100% free. We ship you the books and the curriculum, yours to keep, free because of donors and their investment. So we're very proud of that. It does sound like a lot of money at first, but again, when you're talking about mental health and wellness, especially,
Mhm.
it really is a drop in the bucket, compared to obviously what the real cost is.
Um, would you say anything about the nature of the issues that cancer survivors are experiencing? I would expect that most of the existential issues are similar, but some of the treatments have changed. So we now have immunotherapy that didn't exist before, and some other treatments, including, CAR T therapy and others. Are the issues that patients are experiencing different, and have you had to modify the curriculum over the course of the last 20 years?
We have, we want to make sure we keep up to date with all the latest research. All versions of our curriculum is based on the American Institute of Cancer Research. That is where we get all of our information. We want to make sure that our survivors and caregivers and our providers can feel really good and positive about that, especially in today's day and age of so much misinformation out there, at different sources and all over the internet and such. So over the years, let me think. We have done one, two, three, at least three updates to the book over the last 20 years, maybe four. I'm not certain on that, but I know for sure at least three updates. The other thing we do, Dr. Deming, on a regular basis. In fact, I just put something in the folder just the other day. We're always looking and keeping our eyes on what is the latest, greatest things going on out there in terms of treatment, in terms of side effects. And is it something that we can help with? Is it something that our facilitators need to be aware of? So we are doing that every single day. We're looking for those kinds of updates and we keep
Mhm.
a file folder for that. And we have a portal for all of our facilitators to access. And we always try to fill that with all the latest, greatest research that we think, again, would specifically help them in facilitating our programs.
So, Above and Beyond Cancer is only 15 years old, but it seems like about every 2 years, it's like, what do we want to be when we grow up? And what's the strategic vision for how we may want to expand? Any hints as to what the future of A Time to Heal? Do you have certain expansion dreams? Do you think that the sweet spot is, to be able to serve the world virtually and to serve Omaha in person? Do you have any other thoughts about where you might take A Time to Heal?
I'm so glad you asked that. And it's something that's come up with us just in the last 2 years. And so obviously the world has changed so much because of the virtual platform, right? And we've talked about that. But what we haven't really discussed was the training of the facilitators and how that is now changed. And that was something that we would go out and teach in person. It was a full 2-day in-person training for staff, right? Very expensive. Just the cost of getting the travel expenses, paying 2 facilitators to be gone, for 2.5 days and that kind of thing. It was a lot of money. And as we all know, the last few years especially have been very challenging, especially funding wise, more so than ever before for the providers. So we realized it was crisis time and we needed to do something drastic to make sure that our partners and potential partners could keep delivering those programs at a smaller cost to them. So what we did, we just got it done this last fall. We adapted our training program into a virtual platform. So now it's a combination of where they have to read the curriculum and they have to watch a series of videos that kind of bring certain chapters to life, and they're tested on all of that. And then they have to go through a couple live Zoom trainings so that we really are assured not only do they know the material, but they can deliver it in the way that we know is the most effective for our survivors and caregivers. So we have done that not only for our survivorship program, but we also did it for our brain fog program. And what I can tell you is we just launched that this year. So my dream for the future, Dr. Deming, is I really want A Time to Heal. I think we're already a leader in psychosocial support. I think we're a leader, especially in the brain fog program, which didn't really exist. Mm-hmm. But also what we're doing is I want us to be the very best in terms of facilitator training, education, and support. So the other thing we've launched is a facilitator support network, which wonderful. Is a continuous quarterly opportunity for our facilitators to learn about any of the latest and greatest research that's out there, so they keep up to date just in case they missed it in their email. They learn from each other, best practices, right? And we can role play, we can mentor, and help them through anybody that's challenging, etc. So that's wonderful. What we're most excited about. That's where I see us growing. We're just going to take over the world in that way. We want to teach a man to fish. And we want everyone to have better health and create their best lives after cancer.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to open up to questions. So we've got a live studio audience here. They'll get first dibs at the questions. But if you happen to be watching us live streaming right now, you can also ask Brenda a question. Please just put your question in the comment section of the software you're using to watch us right now. But we'll start. Poon, you have the first question.
Yes. This is such a wonderful program that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as you work with survivors and suggestions for them for their nutrition and exercise, do you give them a program or suggest that they see someone like a trainer for the exercise and a nutrition person or a dietitian for their nutrition?
That's a fabulous question. So it's a multi-layer answer as well. We really do love referring our folks to experts that know more than we do. For example, for exercise, we often recommend the Live Strong program because the YMCA is nationwide. It's a free program in a lot of areas. I know in our area, Dr. Deming, I don't know about your area, you not only can attend the program for free, but they give you a free membership during that time so that hopefully you'll keep going with it. And we do recommend that program because, again, it's evidence-based and it's a very gentle way to kind of ease into the exercise realm. So obviously we talk about it a lot in our curriculum, but that's something we do feel confident and good about recommending. As far as nutrition goes, again, we're kind of going with the experts on that in terms of our curriculum, but we also, when we're training our partners in these different areas, as you can imagine, if they oftentimes have their own nutritionists at their disposal, right, at their own clinics, and we encourage them to bring them in to the curriculum in that way. So if it's the week that they're talking about nutrition, hey, do you have a kitchen where you can hold the class and then maybe even make something as you're talking about the benefits of great nutrition? And also, what about if you have a physical therapy department? That's even better, right? So if they have that, they could have their physical therapist come in and enhance what we are already giving them in terms of the curriculum. So I'm so glad you asked that question, because there's a lot of pieces of our curriculum that will integrate beautifully with the existing clinic or hospital or wherever they're having the program. And obviously when it's a virtual program, then we have to look more towards, okay, how can we help a broad audience and where can we point them to? So we usually have, again, national type of websites that we can refer them to. And of course, we refer a lot of our friends to Above and Beyond Cancer as well out of Des Moines. So we do that as well. And we also have a great resource page on our website that we talk about a lot during our classes.
Great. Thanks. Next question. Here we go. George?
I was interested in the human touch factor when it comes to cancer survivorship. Huge value in that. Above and Beyond Cancer has proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. How does a virtual program like yours make sure that human touch component is integrated into the survivorship?
Just like we're doing right now. You really, our facilitators, we really talk to them a lot about making sure they engage with each other. So they do a lot of things to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak, to ask questions, to engage with each other, to share ideas with each other. We'll pause and say, for example, I could say, hey, has anybody here had triple negative breast cancer? Or how about radiation? What did you use to help with your skin? I know my doctor swore by Aquaphor. What did you guys use? And just sharing really helps. Or if you had a challenge or someone had a challenge that they didn't know how to deal with, like, how do I tell my family that I don't want to host Christmas anymore? At least not for a while. I'm tired. I look okay on the outside, but inside I'm so fatigued and so tired, and I just don't have it in me. And immediately other people will jump in and say, I had the same problem, and this is what I did. So we really try to keep a lot of interaction. I don't want anybody to get the idea, especially when I say it's a class, it's not like a college course where we're talking at people, right? This is an immersive experience where you're sharing. It's a big piece of it, where you share with each other and support each other and wrap your arms around each other, albeit virtually. A lot of our folks continue to meet even after the class is over, and they meet over the internet. And also, I want you to think about, imagine how it feels for these folks in Slovakia and Africa to be able to know, I have someone now I can talk to that I didn't have before. So we do the best we can. In person is always wonderful. We love it. And but the reality is we can't always do it. And there's one of my favorite songs is a line in the song that says, "There's oceans in between us, but that's not very far."
Next question.
How can someone reach you to sign up for your program?
Oh, I love her. You're hired. Our website is atth.org, atth.org. If nothing else, even if you don't want to sign up for a class, we have a registration form. You can look at the available dates and times and pick what you want to do. You can also get on a waiting list if there's nothing kind of available that's speaking to you at the moment or isn't convenient for you. We will put you on a waiting list and we will call you once things are available. But if nothing else, go see our resource page. It really is comprehensive and really amazing. You might find some good links there.
ATTH. And Brenda, if I could have you move your hair just a slight bit, we could see, there we go. So it's ATTH, and that's a time to heal. So it's atth.org.
Yes.
There we go.
And again, all of our programs are free, and except for our annual conference, which we have in Omaha, Nebraska. And if you'd like to come next year, I hope you do. It's only $25 to attend. That doesn't even pay for lunch, and we give a great lunch.
Yeah, great lunch. Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions? Do we have any, George, that are coming in online? Well, Brenda, I want to thank you so much. There we go. We got it on the screen here, atth.org.
Perfect.
And A Time to Heal has been around for over 20 years. Wonderful program for cancer survivors, any type of cancer, any age. And it's just been wonderful. We, the brain fog program is something that nobody has here in Iowa. And I refer probably 5 patients a week and take them right to your website in the room and show them how to sign up for the virtual brain fog program.
Thank you. And we're bringing a brain fog to Iowa.
Wonderful.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a donor, possible donor. I'm going to be working and see if we can't get that done.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you for sharing your own personal story, and thank you for telling us about A Time to Heal. If anyone watching this program today knows someone that would benefit by watching it again, it's going to be available on demand at the Above and Beyond Cancer YouTube channel and also at the Mercy Cancer Center website. I hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks, everyone.